Coming off their biggest franchise win, the Savouge Aesthetics look to gain that official top 2 spot in the finals, while the Aep Cabstars look to gain off that pivotal win of theirs last game. Happy Friday to our volleyball fans. We have a double header offering for you guys, and thank you for tuning in. My name is Bailey. Stay tuned. This is SpikersSturf, where power meets passion.
It is definitely a happy Friday here at the Phil Oil Center in San Juan. Another exciting day for your second day of the semifinals here at your SpikersSturf. JP Bukawan and the rest of the Savouge Spin Doctors just came off a very empathetic win against the Crisscross King Crunchers. It was a 5-setter match, and they have to recover right away as they face and head on to the other team who snatched the win in the semifinals, the Aep Cabstars. This is another exciting match brought to you by your SpikersSturf Open Conference. And your matches for today, we have 2 matches lined up for you in this round-robin semifinals. Savouge faces Aep in your first game, and in your second game, the Protectors go up against the King Crunchers. Thank you for joining us wherever you may be. May that be on One Sports Plus or on the Pilipinas Live app. Sinjan Reyes together with Noreen Go. Noreen, I'm very much excited to cover this game with you because this is a very heated match between these two squads that have been squaring it off since the preliminaries.
Yeah, all-important game because we're down to our last few game days, which we're all sad about. But yeah, it's important to rack up those wins because the top 2 will play for the gold, 3 and 4 for the bronze.
And things are looking different because, of course, in the previous match of Savouge, they were able to snatch a win against Crisscross. So, an undefeated team in the prelims, they were able to snatch a win. That's why they're now at number 2.
Well, we hired a new scriptwriter to rewrite the story. You can see after today, only one will remain undefeated. But it's important to get to the top 2. So, all these teams, they want to pile up their wins.
And meanwhile, these two squads are looking to have an advantage over the other because they both have one win each, but a win today will give them a much more secure spot into the finals. Now let's focus on our lenses with our Savouge Spin Doctors. In their previous match against Crisscross, 5-setter, very thrilling, very exciting, and they did flip the switch and flip the script as they were able to succeed at winning that on the 5th.
That's why we love men's volleyball. Anything can happen. And you know, for the fans, Sinjan Reyes covered that 5-setter, and it was a great game. Really could have gone either way. But you know, if you look at the numbers, no, yes, blocking was the strength of Savouge. Yes, they don't want to give a lot of aces and commit errors, but I think it's a game of heart. Really, it was pure heart for these players. That's why they actually prevailed over Crisscross.
You know, Crisscross showed up, tried to catch up, but at the tail end, Savouge just really wanted it more. And if Noreen was saying, I covered that, and that was the first 5-setter of Crisscross, well, Noreen, you are still the queen of the undisputed queen of 5 sets. So if this goes and extends to a 5th, it's just going to be exciting. But let's focus in on Shawi Caritativo. It was a surprise checkup for everyone. He showed up, especially he just came in the 3rd set but brought in numbers same as the starters.
Yeah, for the fans of Savouge, you know Shawi Caritativo, what he can do. Yeah, he would come off the bench, but that game, again, when we mentioned all about heart, Shawi Caritativo just showed up and played his heart out, or her heart out. 11 tacks, 1 ace, and look at that, 57.9, close to 60% in attacking. So it's really trying to lead the squad. They wanted to win so bad. You said they wanted to win it more, and Shawi Caritativo led the way.
They have been retooled this conference, but it is just as exciting that they have the original Spin Doctors closing it out, helping them snatch that first win against Crisscross. Now, this is the 3rd meeting of these two squads. That's why we have to focus on Shawi. And of course, that was a big win for Savouge. So we have to ask Shawi, how was it going for an upset against Crisscross?
nabasag namin yung sumpa last season kasi almost there kami last season sa kanila eh, no, fifth set kami sa kanila last season, hindi namin nakamit. Nagka-momentum kami ngayon kasi pag natalo namin ang CABSTARS ngayon, ayun, pasok na po kami sa finals. Hindi madali yung game namin today kasi 1-0 din ang CABSTARS, kaya sabi namin huwag kaming magpakampante sa sarili namin. Kaya kung nakakuha natin yung last day na panalo, diretso natin yung momentum na. Same pa din yung papakita namin sa Savouge, pero mas hihigitan pa namin ngayon kasi uhaw na uhaw talaga kami makapasok ng finals.
This might just be the time for them to enter the final. They're 1 foot in that door, but the challenger for today will of course be your CABSTARS. Now let's head on to discuss the Aep Cabstars. They have had a very exciting conference for them. They clinched that last spot into the semis, and they also pulled somewhat an upset against the Alpha Insurance Protectors.
Yeah, for both these teams, we knew that coming to the conference, there are a lot of key additions, late additions, so the gelling was a question, but we saw them. They're all getting better. They're improving a lot. But in that match, it was the CABSTARS. They went down the first set, but they came back second, third, and fourth. And if you look at the numbers, blocking. So today is going to be a block party between both these squads. And they're going to use that today, obviously, and they want to try to upset Savouge.
Let's see if that's what's going to happen, because Savouge is going on a momentum high right now. But one key player, you've mentioned earlier, late additions. One of the latest additions to the CABSTARS was none other than Jared Schnacky, and he has definitely schnacky that off.
Yeah, at the start of the conference, people are saying the blending. But after this game, obviously, he has already blended well. Look at that. I mean, 23 points and 60.9% reception efficiency. So an all-around game he's bringing to this team. So they're going to look to him today again to produce on the same numbers.
Donning a new shade of red. But Jared Schnacky is definitely showing up for the CABSTARS and is now part of the constellation. Speaking of Schnacky, we got to talk to Schnacky and ask, how does it feel being part of this new lineup?
Just coming up to film, watching the guys, knowing some of the guys from the other side, we know a little bit of their tendencies, so we're gonna cater to that a little bit, which might help us. But they also know us too, so we gotta play a little trickier, I guess, and just play our game. We played a really good game 2 days ago, so we're gonna try to keep that going, keep our bodies going. I was hurting a little bit after that last one, but I've recovered. And well, we're gonna play our heart out and play our best, but hopefully our defense is a little better today, and our blocking still stays strong.
Wow, he's still expecting for more improvements, and let's see if they'll be able to improve and go up against the Savouge Aesthetic Spin Doctors. Now, don't forget to join the conversation by using the hashtag spikersturf2026. Now, let's turn it over to our game announcer to start this matchup.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the city of San Juan. This is the 2026 SpikersSturf Open Conference. We're about to witness match number 33 of the tournament, the semifinals round matchup between our Savouge Spin Doctors and their opponents, the Aep Cabstars. Introducing the two referees officiating this match. Our first referee, Josie Del Rosario, International Referee. Second referee is Justin Navidad, National Referee. Let's now meet the starters. First, for the Savouge Spin Doctors. Middle blocker number 4, Gilles Torres. Outside spiker number 6, Mark Calado. Setter number 13, Vince Imperial. Outside hitter number 21, Louis Ramirez. Opposite hitter number 22, Toto de la Vega. And middle blocker number 25, JP Bugawan. Starting libero is number 5, Rico Marmeto. The head coach for Savouge is Sidney Calderon. And now the starters for the Aep Cabstars. Middle blocker number 2, Dave Lardizabal. Center number 5, EJ Casanya. Opposite hitter number 9, J-Rack de la Noche. Outside hitter number 12, Bibi Malaiba. Middle blocker number 13, Nez Guaza. And outside spiker number 23, Jared Necki. Starting libero number 24, Vince Lorenzo. The head coach for AEP is Christian Antiporta. This is Savouge versus AEP, the semifinals match for the Spikers Turf, where power meets passion.
Savouge is bringing up that 6 that succeeded at the start of that game against Crisscross. Meanwhile, AEP giving us the familiar names.
Well, you can see all the familiar, you said it, no? The familiar starting units of both these teams. But you know, for the CABSTARS, that's a huge win also against Alpha Insurance coming into today's game, because they know they're up against a very hyped, a team that's just at the high. They're, you know, they beat Crisscross.
Something that no one in this league has done in this conference. Even bringing Crisscross to a 5-setter was already a feat. But there's a lot of changes now. The biggest switch here is Lardizabal is a check-in in the middle. He played those last 3 sets where they won. Schnacky kicks things off. That's going to be a point for Savouge.
Well, I think the biggest difference or the biggest factor for the CABSTARS is they come into the game thinking that we can actually defeat Savouge, even if they defeated Crisscross, you know, because you need to believe that you can actually get into the finals.
Well, it's a renewed lineup. Schnacky was still not there earlier in their first meeting at least. So let's see if things will change, will improve. Schnacky will try pushing that over. De La Vega will be called for a double contact infraction.
That's not just double, triple, quadruple. It stayed with Toto de la Vega. He let this go and 1, 2, 3, 4.
Might even be 6.
I know.
Serve there coming from Casanya. They go up to the open side to Ramirez. It's returned. Imperial going to De La Vega. Imperial going up to Calado, that is out. We're seeing a slower pace now for Savouge compared to their last game against Crisscross.
Yeah, which you don't want to see. You want to see them have the same level of intensity, because you cannot count other teams out. You cannot, you know, be complacent.
They go to a quick. Jills hits that wide.
Errors setting in for Savouge. We did look at the numbers, huh? Yeah.
But the start of the set was also started with an error coming from AEP. Let's see if things will change up here. Ramirez finally gets a clean point.
Well, you know, for Savouge, I remember just watching the 5th set against Crisscross, and I said, oh, Louis Ramirez is not even inside. I mean, that's how strong they are, but you want Louis Ramirez to get going early on.
That's what they did in that last match. That's why that first set was very effective. And you know, one thing that they also did that Neil and I noticed when we were covering, they were playing this combination pattern where the combination is
for a final hit from the back row. And it really like changed the pace of the game.
Well, if you have talented players who can hit from the back, why not?
That sails out. We are now with a 1-point game. Savouge to serve. They're down by 1.
Well, I feel whoever can step on the gas quick.
Earlier, yeah? Someone needs to take over and take control because at the early part of this game, it's been a slow start. But this may spark things up. Let's look at that again.
Yeah, we know the impact of a stuffed block. Always, that could really, be the start, like you said. But it's a strong front row for Savouge.
This is their strongest front line. Schnacky is denied. This is something that was the surprise in the previous match. They're not the #1 blocking team, but they outblocked the #1 blocking team in their last game.
Key stops, no?
Yeah. Very crucial.
But what they like also is, everyone is stepping up to the plate. Mark Calado had a monster game.
It was evenly distributed. Props to Imperial. Great teamwork. And they would need more of that. And any team right now would need all of that in this semifinal match as Savouge leads by 2.
Well, CABSTARS have to be careful with your errors.
They're going to challenge this for net fault. There's a challenge on the floor requested by the Aep Cabstars against Savouge. And the challenge is for net fault.
Well, again, we did mention a very slow start for both these teams. And it's going to be a huge impact whoever can, increase the level of their energy.
That looks clean.
Yeah, it is clean.
Nope, no net fault there. Seems like AB trying to ice things out. It's going to be an unsuccessful challenge for Coach Christian Antiporta.
Well, if you're the CABSTARS, you gotta get J-Rack
Yeah.
also going here.
JF needs to get going. EJ just needs some good passes. You know how lethal he could be with the passing.
On cue.
Yeah, De La Noche. Just as requested.
By the doctor. Not the spin one.
Yeah. Maybe by Dr. Noringo, who is giving her diagnosis for today. Serve came from Dave Larduzabal. De La Vega from the right. On the other side, they go to Malaiba. He was under the ball, no check there. That's going to be a point for Savouge. Savouge leads by 2.
Malaiba needs to get his rhythm. If you commit hitting errors early on, get the form, get the follow through because you're too tight at this point.
Kailangan ng bawi.
Oh.
Toto now to serve. Oh, picked up there easily by AEP. They go to Guaza. On the other side, Imperial going for that pipe combination play. That setup was beautiful, but the denial against Malaiba, courtesy of Imperial, brings us to the first technical timeout. Savouge leads by 3. Blocking is working for the Spin Doctors. Let's see what happens when we return here at the Spikers Turf.
You're still watching the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference. I spoke to Aep Cabstar Jared Schnacky. I asked him why his recent post is captioned same number, different shade. He said that it's because he wears number 23 and that he gives importance to this because growing up during his club days, he wears number 33.
high school days, number 13, all because his dad wears number 3. His dad was a student athlete in volleyball and in football and has been his coach for the longest time, actually watches his games via Pilipinas Live. And since Jared is considered a tourist here, he also recently explored the Met Art Museum in BGC. He enjoys his stay here. He explores the country and loves so. Well, for Jared, he just loves to stay balanced, to stay centered, especially considering the high-stakes match versus Savouge today. Being present is how he prepares mentally, and the same sense of urgency is the motto for him and the team in this one. Sinjin and Noreen?
Thank you so much, Baileys. Very interesting report. To add more context to that, to those pictures that we are showing here at the lower right corner of your screens, that was posted 21 hours ago. So imagine, they played that game against Alpha last Wednesday. Then somewhere between Wednesday and today, Shnaki had the time to go to a museum.
Well, whatever works, whatever calms you, right? And
Yeah.
and keeps you focused.
And just coming off that Bailey's report, I think we will wait for him to wear the number 43, 53, 63, 73, and anything with a number 3.
Oh!
But Shnagi's team has trimmed the lead down to 2 after that service ace. Let's look at that again.
J-Rack in the house.
Timeout will be called here by
Bago tayo
Savouge.
makapag-execute, kailangan na natin ng receipt. O, nakakalamang tayo. Kailangan lang natin, ito yung unahin natin para makapag-execute tayo.
Coach Sydney trying to ice things out for her squad, the Spin Doctors, because she's noticing CABSTARS starting to make a run.
And just that basic reminder of giving a better pass, that starts it all. That's one.
And you have to recognize your opponent is also on the high. You're not just the only one on the high.
True.
So you have to be very careful not to give momentum, not to give confidence to your opponent. That's a solid push there.
Speaking of someone on a high, Imperial had a
Oh.
great game.
Biggest game, if not. His performance, he was attacking. He showed why being an aggressive setter could be effective at times.
Yeah. Speaking of being effective, Malaiba gets one finally.
Finally.
He wants those triple blocks.
Yeah.
He doesn't like one.
Yeah, he wants to be challenged. Pag one lang daw or two, okay lang daw mablock. Oh! See, this is what they've been doing. This is the new system for Savouge. Have all your spikers go for a kill up front, but then at the end of it, the closer comes from the back row.
Yeah. No, really, props to the coaching of Coach Sidney and Coach Maki Carino.
It's an interesting tandem coaching for these two. You have the very technical, very focused on details in Coach Maki, and then you have the morale boosting and the
The emotional. Yeah.
coaching, which is very, very crucial, especially at this level. And these players already have the skills. That's why they're in the Spikers turf. Imperial will now set up a quick. That works for Jills.
Well, Imperial distributing really well. Everybody's getting a touch. That's what you want to see, that element of surprise, and then finally to the back, to the back row.
This is why they have to set this up, because that's why the play earlier with Calado from the back works. That's because you have players like Jills up front who pose a challenge. Jills will set this one up. Going for the kill was De La Vega on the other side. Shnaki will try over the triple block.
Oh, good cover.
Great coverage there by Dionis. On the other side, the answer will come from De La Noche.
Well, it's a battle of the back row attacks. De La Noche, no shortage of talent there.
Look at that. Then to serve the second look, a full swing coming from De La Noche. Casanya with that serve.
from the back again was Mark Calado. He says, we can also do that.
You know what you like about for Savouge? No? Mark Calado, I remember in the first round, kind of struggled in terms of his output. But right now, I think it's a different confidence level.
There's also a lot of balls given to him. So the more entries, the more chances of winning. Oh, but that one said there is no entry for that ball here.
Bisa denied. But yeah, I mean, both teams actually, their strength is blocking. But so far here in the first set, it has been Savouge covering that net pretty well.
Block points, 4 for Savouge. CABSTARS, 0. De La Noche, though, makes up for it with a hit.
Well, that's the way to counter a good block. You read your defense, your opponent's defense. You can just go for the off speed. You know, you have to be disciplined.
Jared Schnacki now serves for AEP. From the back.
Oh, good save.
Was Ramirez. Bump set from Lorenzo. A push coming from J-Rock.
Well, somebody told J-Rock where the weakness of the defense of Savouge.
Good scouting might also help out. 2-point game. CABSTARS just maintaining the gap. Savouge still not in control.
Oh, good dig.
De La Vega spot up there. Schnacki bump set going to J-Rock. Picked up there by Ramirez. On the other side, they go to Calado over the triple block, but that is not going to stay alive.
That may have looked easy for Mark Calado, but those are the hardest to hit. They're, you know, the out-of-system sets.
That's an ad-lib.
Yeah.
But a very good ad-lib at that. 3-point lead. Savouge. Serve coming from Gilles. Iba is denied. Solid denial coming from Bogawan and De La Vega. And that ushers in the second technical timeout. We'll be back after this quick break.
After our big win, first nag-celebrate muna kami dinner together. Pero yung sabi ko sa kanila, hindi pa tapos yung trabaho namin. So we still have 2 remaining games. And a win today will secure us for a finals ticket. So lahat naman ng mga players gustong-gustong makuha din yung panalo today. Though I keep reminding them na hindi talaga magiging madali yung lahat ng laban namin. So kailangan lang namin talaga tsagain lahat. Ang sabi ko lang sa kanila, if gusto namin ng finals, we have to show them who we are. That's my message for my team today.
The very eloquent coach Sidney Calderon, of course, saying how important that last win was. The UAP Season 88, though, is in full swing as they watch the games every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday on the Pilipinas Live app. Also available on the UAP Varsity channel and on One Sports, because legends start here.
You know, the biggest thing about Savouge beating Crisscross, we keep saying it because it's such a big feat. In their previous outings, it has been Crisscross 8 times.
Yeah.
8 times.
At least 8.
At least 8 times they've defeated Savouge. But again, the biggest thing is they believe that we can actually win the championship.
And the proof of that game was there was a proof of concept that Crisscross is defeatable. That is the wide opening now to squads like AEP and Alpha Insurance who will be facing them later on. Because with a 10-0 dominance, you've defeated all these teams you're facing in the... Twice, not just once. Huh? So you have already proven yourself twice. So the challenge is who's going to prove them wrong. That serve coming from J-Rock. They go up to Bogawan, who tips that. However, that tip goes towards the direction of the antenna.
Well, you know, CABSTARS is just hanging around. It's just a 2-point game.
This is within striking distance.
Yeah.
That serve goes out, though, for J-Rock.
J-Rack, look at coach. Looks good. Oh, but those are the errors you don't want to see. We just mentioned they've been hanging around, then you give up those service errors.
So the advantage is still with Savouge there with a 3-point lead. That is out for... that's going to be a point off the block, rather. It's going to be a block out. So this is now a 2-point game at 18-16. Soriano will be checking in for the CABSTARS.
Well, J-Rack de la Noche has been the main gunner for the Aep Cabstars, at least here in the first set.
Shnaki still controlled here by Savouge. Imperial going up to Bugawan. Such a showcase of athleticism. Bump set from Imperial going to Ramirez off the block. That is going out.
You know, Luis Ramirez has been just, you talked about ad-lib. He hasn't been getting the sets he's comfortable with. So he's like under the ball, not really having the set that he wants.
Not the most optimum set that he wants, but this will trigger a timeout as Savouge leads by 3.
Tapos, activate by babasa tayo. Para mag-spend lang yung blockers, ha? O, go! Nag-error lang tayo.
Hey, wala pa 25, tara.
Okay. Go lang, go lang.
Tatlo, wala pang 20.
Let's go! Hey, go! Stars!
Just some reminders coming from Coach Christian, trying to steady the ship. It's still a far ball game, and they're still within striking distance. This is a difficult moment for squads like AEP because this is the chance where if you don't make the next point, it's going to be really challenging for you because lumalayo na eh. Nagpo-pull away na tong Savouge. That's why that hit coming from Shnaki is much welcome.
Much needed. Yeah, that's a great set by Casania, really creating that one-on-one opportunity.
Dasig, their team captain, will check in. Imperial going up for that Calado back row combination, which works off the block.
Yeah, I mean, that's gotta hurt for the CABSTARS because they read it, you know, they have 3 men. Look at that, 3-man wall. Look, 2.5. The one to the right was kind of late. But still, same result.
That's Mark Calado's athleticism right there for you. 3-point lead for Savouge. Naki will try to make it 2. Kept alive there by De La Vega. From the back was Calado, but that was too low.
Yeah, hits that into the net.
2-point game. EJ Casania serving now for the white shirts.
Well, it is a full front row. Let's see if they can maximize this opportunity.
Oh, that's how you maximize it. Make service your first line of attack. This is now trimmed down to a 1-point game. Coach Sydney will burn her last timeout because of a serve like this. Look at that. Let's listen in to Coach Sydney and the rest of the Spin Doctors.
So ilagay lang natin lagi, anticipate natin baka mag-short, baka mag-long, baka outside. Bawi lang. Guys, finals gusto natin, di ba?
Yes!
Tara, trabaho. Go!
That's a different kind of motivation. Reminding everyone what's the end goal. You want to be in the finals? You have to get points here.
And, you know, although they're still ahead, Savouge, by 1, they're not playing up to what Coach Sydney believes they can. They're not playing up to par. So, you know, you want to get the finals, you're not going to get to the finals playing the way you are.
Yeah, this is very slow compared to their last game. I mean, this is going to be a very quick semifinals, and they can't let go of points just like that. That sails out for Jills.
And just like that, it is a tied game. Again, CABSTARS just hung around, and they have tied it.
Serve coming from Casania, that's his 3rd. Ramirez now. That is the set he wants.
Yeah. You can see he wasn't like bending backward. He was motion to the front. at that.
Above the blockers.
Above the blockers, through the blockers, anything.
Ramirez will check out here in Austria. Their team captain will check in Hero Austria, who also played a very pivotal game against Crisscross. You know, we can't stop talking about that game.
I know.
That's the biggest upset of this conference.
It's a different scriptwriter.
Schnacky off the block. Now CABSTARS want to show that they could also pull things off, pull a upset.
Yeah, that's such a smart hit, really targeting the high hands there because the blockers were established.
That's what Savouge did against Crisscross. Finding a spot there was Joven de la Vega.
That's a great back set by Imperial.
He loves doing back sets.
Look at that, 1-on-1.
Great decision, great ball. But if you have an offensive setter as well, you're the middle blocker, it's going to be really hard to read someone like Imperial. Casania going to De La Noche. The block goes out for Calado. He's going to ask for a reaching beyond challenge. Coach Sydney grants it.
It just happened so fast. It's like it would look like a joust more than a reaching beyond, but let's see.
Did the ball favor one side? Did the arms of a player cross over to the airspace of the other side?
Yeah.
Those are the questions we're trying to answer here.
But Calado was sure.
Yeah, he kept asking it.
No, it looked like a joust.
It looked like a clean joust. Looks very clean. Right in between the airspaces of both teams.
Well, anyhow, we are tied again.
Tied at 22. Serve coming from AEP. Off the block was Mark Calado, giving a 1-point advantage to Savouge. This will trigger a timeout from AEP. Let's get that again. Calado just fully unfazed with the block of AEP. Let's listen to Coach Christian. One-point game in favor of Savouge. Icing things out was Coach Christian.
Well, you have Guaza in front. You have yet to feel his presence there. Maybe a stop, maybe a kill. So they need him.
De La Vega with that serve. Picked up there. Over received. Calado. Easy on the recovery. And getting a 2-point lead, 2 set points in favor of Savouge.
Well, Lorenzo has been actually receiving so well, but that overpass is going to be costly because it is, you said, set point.
Unfortunate for AEP, but that is well welcomed by the Spin Doctors.
Max Gampong in to finish it.
This is the ever familiar double sub, Gampong and Narciso. Narciso with the serve. Guaza saves 1 set point.
Well, that's what we said. They need to go to Guaza. You need to change things up. But at this point, they need a good serve.
Serve coming from De La Noche becomes an ace.
Wow, when you talk about a perfectly placed serve, that is one of the best.
This is now anybody's ball game.
Well inside.
But doesn't cross though, bumawi. Back to a set point advantage in favor of Savouge.
Well, CABSTARS, they need a pass. Give a good pass at this point. You did show that, okay, we can go to Guaza. We have other options. Ooh.
Kalada serve go out in exchange of gifts. Sayang. Everyone's tensed up suddenly at the tail end.
Well, we did expect this, you know, as after the first round, we said the second round games are going to get better because these teams have been playing longer.
The familiarity will creep in as Austria. Oh! Solid denial coming from Casanya and Guaza.
Well, Guaza making his presence felt. Like we said, they needed that from Guaza.
Caritativo will check in here, who has been a game changer in the previous match, together with Louis Ramirez, who is checking back in.
Or the pressure now, obviously, in the side of Savouge. Let's see how they respond.
Reversal of fates in her seesaw, setting up Ramirez. Oh! Block party!
What a time for CABSTARS to find their groove.
CABSTARS take home set number 1, 27-25. As we have a second look on that last game, on that last play, how poetic it is that it ends both. The last 2 points coming from blocks for the CABSTARS. Will CABSTARS continue the movement of, or continue to stop the movement of Savouge, or will Savouge change the script? Let's find out. Return here at the Spikers Turf.
Well, we welcome you back here in the Phil Oil in San Juan. Spikers Turf action. Semifinals between Savouge and the Aep Cabstar. Savouge led the way actually at the start of the first set, controlling most of the first set. But the Cabstars, they did the good job in just hanging around. And when the Savouge least expected, they tied the game. It was a nip and tuck affair, and Savouge, and CABSTARS made the right stops, 2 to be exact, towards the end to actually claim set number 1. If you look at those 2 blocks, testament to what I just said, it is the defense, the stops, the important stops at the end of that first set. Aces also played a vital role. So CABSTARS, they're just showing Savouge that we're not gonna just go quietly into the night. We're going to fight. You're going to fight hard if you want to beat us. And yeah, it is the Aep CABSTARS taking the first set and drawing first blood here in the semifinals match.
We have a tournament director of Spikers Turf here, Ms. Mosi Urbana, together with some members of the control committee and the sports division. That Ms. Rhea Navarro, together with Nika Navarro, right behind.
Boy, what a first set that was, Sinjin. We did expect that. I mean, it is a semifinals. Both teams coming off big wins in their first semifinals match. Aep beat Alpha, Savouge beat Chris Crosso. You know, this is anyone's game.
If there's something that the first game day and that first set proved to all Spikers Turf fans, it's in men's volleyball, anything could happen. That's number 1. Number 2, semifinals is a different story.
Yeah, different story, especially because both these teams have got their first win. So this next win will probably propel them to the final. So
There's another level of tension when you're in this position. So let's see how things would work out.
yeah, but it seems like here at the start of the second set, that loss has actually awakened Savouge.
And you know what's obvious here is Savouge is starting to play fast already, but AEP looks like they're trying to pick up the pace.
There is, so far in this match, for AEP, there is this calmness that you're seeing, a more mature kind of play. That's why they stuck around in the first set and eventually got it.
Off the block there was Jills. Lorenzo with a bump set to Malaiba. Malaiba is denied. Ball is still alive. De La Noche with that push. Marmeto with that pickup. That Ramirez kill would force a fault, which leads to a point.
Yeah, they call a net fault on J-Rack De La Noche.
Well, that's also recognizing the skills of your opponent.
Good pass.
Up to De La Noche right behind the blockers. That's picked up there by Torres, but that is going to hit the net. There's going to be a net fault called against Savouge.
Yeah, good drop there by J-Rack. You always like to target the middle blockers who are in the back when they're defending. And that's what he did exactly.
1 point game, that serve. Coming from Lardizabal. De La Noche off the hands of the blockers.
Well, the CABSTARS look pumped here also in the second set.
Motivating yung set number 1 for them.
Yeah, and it's like sending a message that, we can actually win this.
They were the last ones to clinch a spot into the semis, but they were able to flip the script as Calado will hit it out.
Well, first of all, you have to go back to basic. Really, you're 2-10 at this point. You're feeling the pressure, knowing that in their previous matches, you actually beat the CABSTARS.
Not just once, but twice. And in a dominating fashion in 3 and in 4 sets. But that's also the same story for Crisscross against them last game day. So nothing is statistics, throw that out. Nothing is permanent here. That goes out. It's going to be a point for Savouge, tied at 4.
Yeah, wasted opportunity there for Guaza. No blockers. That's too strong.
Calado, 9 points in this game, serves. They go up to Malaiba. Popped up there by Shawi. Ramirez will try. They go up to Malaiba again. That works for Malaiba.
That's a great set again by EJ Casanya. Look at this. Imperial left. Nice lonesome to actually defend that, but Malaiba knew he had the advantage.
Hit coming from the right, from the back row from Calado. Guaza off the blockers. They go up to De La Noche. J-Rack is denied. Great pancake. Malaiba right behind. That block of Bugawan works. Malaiba will try again. Imperial going to a back quick.
Oh, good save.
Kept alive there by Lorenzo. They go up to Ramirez, who finishes things off.
Well, same as the first set. Ramirez, even if he doesn't get the set he wants, he's going to make do. But that's the best exchange so far in this match.
Look at that again. Ramirez, if he's given the ball he wants, he really is able to pound it. Hui with that serve, Guaza with a pickup, but Bugawan was on top of the net.
In general, you don't want to give these overpasses, especially if you have a JP Bugawan.
Not when you have one of the most athletic middle blockers right across.
Not the tallest, but yeah, the
Yeah.
most athletic.
Good deception. Malaiba under that ball, but that is alive. Imperial goes up to Calado from the back. De La Noche was there. Malaiba over the blockers. Chance ball. AEP will make do. Guaza sets up De La Noche off speed. Pancake from Dionis from the back was Ramirez. Long rally we're having here. Shawi Caritativo. On the other side, Malaiba to soften that touch.
Well, he tried his best, but he just couldn't stay in the air for as long as he wanted to. So he punched that into the net. But again, the rallies are getting better, longer. Yeah.
Unfortunate that it ends there, but these are humans playing a very human game. Shnaki denied there by JP. Bugawan pushing that one through. Malaiba will try again.
Good dig.
Another long rally we're having here, but it ends with Louis Ramirez closing that out.
Well, another great set there by Imperial.
Let's give that one more look. Ramirez from the back row, bringing us to our first technical timeout of the second set.
You're still watching the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference. I was able to talk to Shawi Caritativo, the spin doctor who led the team in the clutch last match, and Shawi shared to me that the coaching staff was very pleased with their win. They were very happy with their performance, and they really did show guts, composure, and most importantly, they won as a team. And the team doesn't usually eat out after work or after their matches, but they ate out in the mall across Phil Oil, had some very good Chinese food, bonded with the team, and took a well-deserved rest the day after. And according to Shawi, walang nagbago. Finals, finals, finals. This is their mindset when the season started. They have stayed true to that goal, and that's what they gave them a win last match, and that's what they will give them a win in this match, sabi ni Shawi. Your thoughts, Noreen and Sinjin?
My thoughts is which Chinese restaurant is this and what were the orders?
Same. I swear to God. No, but yeah, I mean, you love hearing these stories because they deserve to bond and enjoy that victory. Oh, Shawi Caritativo again coming off the bench and providing a huge boost to Savouge. Look at that. Look at that technique in the block, a stuff block.
Block touches is going to be challenged here, rather. It's like there's an emergency.
No, it's because I was watching
Yeah.
Shawi Caritativo. He didn't touch it, so he was already celebrating the point.
Yeah.
And then when he looked, he was being, being awarded the CABSTARS.
Ba't nagtatago si Coach Mac?
May sinasabi.
May binubulong.
Yeah.
Baka daw kasi may lip reader sa kabilang side. Block touch.
It is taking long.
Huh? Well, seems like they're still reviewing the material. They're reviewing it well and intently. Here we have the review. Is there a block touch? The answer is no.
So that's why Caritativo was already celebrating that point. Indeed, he was correct. Boy, a 6-point advantage here for Savouge. Oh.
But Aiba will hit that one out.
I mean, that was a great set, but a hitting error. So the timeout is again for the CABSTARS.
It's an in.
Okay lang yan, okay lang yan. Guys, so, tatsagayin lang talaga natin to. Hindi pwedeng wala tayong atake, hindi natin may stop yan. So may pasa naman tayo eh. Ang problema lang dito, yung atake natin. Tapos coverage ulit tayo. Tatsagayin ulit natin yan. Kaintindihan ba?
Yes, coach.
O, nakapagod talaga. Tatrabahin talaga natin yan. Tapos enjoy na lang natin ulit. Bago pa ka! Go, 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 go! Wala.
Say, come!
Kumpiyansa lang, kumpiyansa!
Interesting huddle there with the coach asking, pagod? Part talaga yan.
Well, part naman talaga yan. This is going to be a very tight semifinals round with just 1 day rest in between. Most probably training pa, pero on a one-on-one basis, kung tao sa tao, Bugawan is definitely a solid blocker. Undoubtedly. Look at this. Bantay na bantay, oh.
One-on-one. But a battle of the former teammates. Good save. Whoa!
Oh!
We've seen it all. You gotta see it again. Imperial. One-handed block.
Again, he wants to be in that finals. Imperial will set this one up. They go up to Shawi off the blockers. Was caritativo.
How did he get that through? Totally out of position. Again, when you talk about these athletes with heart, caritativo probably, arguably, has the biggest one. Much needed from J-Rack de la Noche. And as of now, as of late, Savouge with 9 blocks compared to 2 from the CABSTARS.
That serve coming from Soriano on the other side. Imperial going up to Shawi. That's off the hands of Shnaki. Shnaki's been quite silent here.
Actually, everyone's been silent because it is now a commanding 10-point advantage for Savouge. And the CABSTARS will need to talk about it.
This isn't it to what AEP has to huddle up on. We're back here inside the Phil Center in San Juan. Calado, 9 points already in this match. The top scorer of Savouge. Meanwhile, on the other side, De La Noche is the top scorer for the AEP CABSTARS. He has been showing up a lot, but it has only been and solely him so far.
Yeah. But you know, if you're the CABSTARS, you have to remember, you did win the first set. And you know, it was a total team effort led by, you mentioned the top scorer, J-Rack de la Noche.
You know where we also see team effort a lot? In the UAAP, because the UAAP Season 88 volleyball is in full swing. Both these players came from the UAAP, if I recall correctly. So watch the games of the future Mark Calado and the future J-Rack de la Noche in the Pilipinas Live app. That's every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is also available on the UAP Varsity channel and on One Sports, because legends start here.
Yeah, you are not mistaken. Calado played for FEU while J-Rack de la Noche played for UST.
Calado had that short stint throughout the pandemic, if I'm not, my memory serves me well. But right now, Savouge showing that they're in full control here. They have a 9-point lead. That serve coming from Imperial. They go up to Shnaki. He's denied. Casanya going to Shnaki again. That's going down the line.
Well, he did hear you saying that he was pretty quiet here, now making his presence felt. It can't be just J-Rack de la Noche and the rest. They've got to contribute. Hitting air
That's
there.
going to be out. Serve coming from Casanya. They go up to Calado with that ball off the block. This is back to a 9-point game. Schnacky to serve now. Imperial will set us up to a combination play. Mark Calado.
Yeah, that's pretty much a strength of Savouge. His combination plays, whether or not Calado's in front or in the back. Yes, he is at the hitting end.
Jills with that serve. Casanya going up for a combination. That is pancaked right there. Seems like AEP will challenge this one. Challenge.
They will stop the rally and challenge that floor touch.
No, they're calling the captain. Because I think the challenge was called a bit too late. They were looking for a floor touch with that pancake dive earlier. So, let's listen.
Basta deny ha, deny. Sabi mo kay coach, delay.
Delayed ang call ng challenge.
Ready, ready, ready.
Yeah, because there are a couple of touches already that ensued after that pancake. But then, you know, we saw the players. Casanya was really...
calling it. It was a really late press of a button from the coaches on the sidelines. Lardy Zabal. Easy.
That may be poetic justice there for the CABSTARS because it did look like it was a floor touch.
Lardy Zabal will now serve. Imperial going up to Bugawan, denied by Guaza. Bump set, going up to Calado. Soft touch. Imperial going to the other side. Oh, Guaza just working the net. At naglaro ang mga bata sa sidelines.
Trying to keep that ball alive. You gotta appreciate the effort. But yeah, Guaza has been very active.
Did you see the way he moved from left to right so quickly as he checked into the timeout by Coach Sydney?
Yan, nagtsatsaga din sila. So tayo, afford natin mag-side out. Walang masama mag-side out gaming tayo. Isang receive lang. Ha?
Okay! Good cover, good cover, good cover.
Well, Coach Sydney recognizes the fact that, you know, CABSTARS are not out of it. They're going to work their way into this set.
Yeah, an 8-point deficit is something that is not untouchable, very within reach. Serve coming from AEP. Calado hitting that and forcing a shank pass.
Oh, Calado has been the go-to here for Savouge.
Narciso and De La Vega checks in. This is the magic that Savouge has. Imagine if Shawi Caritativo enters as the second outside hitter, replacing Calado. Calado moves to the opposite side. They have De La Vega as a substitute, who is an actual starter. Soriano off the blockers. They go up to De La Vega. He is denied by Guaza.
Oh, we did mention that, you know. Guaza needs to be be a force at the net, and so far he has been, you know, towards the end of the first set and then here in the second set. Hopefully that will translate into a run for the CABSTARS.
Let's see De La Noche with an emphatic serve that's overdug. That's going to be a regalo for Guaza. Guaza has been quite active right now.
Yeah, Golden blocking, and then right now that overpass puts it down.
Guaza now with 6 points, 3 attacks, 3 blocks. Bugawan showing why he's an effective middle. Chance ball coming from Soriano. Let's see what Savouge would do. NRC so going up to Bugawan on a differential.
You see the way they adjusted, right? That little delay, that hop for Bugawan because Guaza has been blocking well.
Substitutions now coming in for AEP. Full front line as well. Lagmay will check in.
And the chess match continues for both these coaches.
Got together with Dingle. Hero is now serving. Soriano is denied by Bugawan and Caritativo. This will be challenged right away, or rather there's a timeout that's going to be called by AEP. Let's look at that again. Middles have been working hard today. Oh, scratch that. The block came from Shawi Caritativo. This isn't this time of the AEP.
Go. Pasili tayo, pass. Jay, ikaw bahala.
I-up lang ha, up lang.
Try natin!
Hey!
Hoy!
Anthony!
Say! Go!
It's a 9-point game. That's why Coach Christian has requested a timeout. Savouge is taking full control. It is in full swing.
You like the response, you know, mini run, but then Savouge comes back.
That's a response that you don't want to see right after a timeout.
But you have to give it to Toto de la Vega. Really outstretched arms there for that stuff block.
Here, Ostea serving for Savouge.
Big pass.
Lagmay popped up there from the back. They go to Shawi with a push. Picked up there by Lorenzo. Lagmay will try again. He's denied. Dingle to Lagmay. Guaza with that touch. Caritativo off speed. Long rally we're having here. Lagmay off the hands of the blockers.
That's a perfect example. If at first you don't succeed, you gotta keep trying. Lagmay was stopped a couple of times, but persistence is key.
I mean, resilient was Lagmay as we listen to this timeout.
Kailangan natin ng magandang receive. Pakita ka lang doon, tas pasok. Huwag masyado mataas naman yung sakto. Medyo mabilis yung set. Ha? Tara.
Hey, Monkey! Watch!
What good receive ang hanap ni Coach Sydney Calderon dito for the squad wearing yellow. They have 9 set points to their advantage, but the timeout is trying to secure a closeout for the second set.
Coach Sydney obviously wants to end it here. A good play.
Let's see if they'll be able to close this out. NRC so going to Hero from the back, popped up by Soriano. Schnacky off the hands of the blockers. Lorenzo bump set to Schnacky. Again, triple block and nobody home at the backcourt.
Yeah, that final bump set became so predictable that there were 3 men actually. They teamed up for that. Great timing and the closeout there. Of course, it was JP Bugawan again.
One set apiece for these two squads. 27-25 in favor for AP earlier, but a very dominant 25-15 for Savouge this time. We'll find out what happens in the pivotal set number 3 when we return here at the Spikers Turf.
You're still watching the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference, and beside me is Coach Kitty Antiporta of the AEP CABSTARS. Coach,
Hello. Hello.
my first question po, Coach, during that first set, what made the difference? We got that win.
Maganda yung intensity namin inside the court. So maganda rin yung atake namin. Siguro yun yung naging key factor namin kaya nakuha namin yung first set.
We have a few adjustments coming into the third, Coach. Ano yung reminders natin sa team
Yes,
natin?
oo. Nawala yung attack namin. So, sabihin ko sa mga players na more aggressive uli. Tapos, malalaki talaga yung blockers ng Savouge eh. So, coverage uli kami. Tapos lahat ng bola na pupunta sa amin, maging mindful lang sila.
Thank you for your time, Coach. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Back to you, Sinjin and Noreen.
Thank you so much, Baileys. Very simple, yet very hard to execute. Very simple in words, but the execution is a different challenge.
Well, he did mention, Coach Antiporta did mention that the attacks were missing in the second set. And it was obvious, no? Because of the great defense, net defense of Savouge. They really try to close the doors on the attackers of the CABSTARS and never looked back. You know, it was a pretty dominating second set win coming back from that first set loss. And Savouge really just showing us that their goal, you mentioned, is to make it to the finals by winning today's game. If you look at the numbers, boy, 8 blocks in that second set alone. And one thing they corrected really was their errors in the first set. They had 9. They limited it to 4. So, you know, total turnaround in the game of Savouge CABSTARS. You just, again, we always mention, you have to remember how you won the first set. Coach Antiporta said intensity, attacks, and coverage.
But the difference here is, nung first set, walang pang 8 blocks yung Savouge.
5.
5. Tatlo. They have to overcome that one. So that's going to be a challenge as we just like to quickly remind everyone that the 2026 FPTC Tour of Luzon is back bigger, bolder, and tougher than ever. Local and international cyclists face a grueling 14-stage battle across 13 provinces and 5 regions. An 1,800-kilometer test of endurance, speed, and strategy. Don't miss a single moment. Catch all the action live on the Filipinas Live app. Also on One Sports and on One Sports Plus. Savouge has great supporters here inside the arena as we're seeing the CABSTARS. I'm seeing Shnaki there. I think we're gonna show someone next. Nope. We head on to Savouge right after.
Well, leading scorers here for Savouge, Calado with 12 points, Ramirez and Bugal with 7 apiece. For the CABSTARS, De La Noche with 11. Guaza, we did mention he was very active during a bit of parts of the second set with 6 points. Shnaki limited to just 4. So you want to change things around if you're the CABSTARS, get Shnaki more sets so he can actually complement J-Rack De La Noche.
Kick things off at the pivotal third set. This is where things can swing, or where momentum can swing towards the favor of one team or the other. Serve coming from Vincent Imperial Casanya, going up to that quick on the other side. Ramirez from the back, medyo basa na ng CABSTARS. Yung back row combination.
Yeah, and they've obviously adjusted their form, their technique early on, like in the first set. Even though Ramirez, Calado were able to get it through, there were blockers. However, right now, they're getting proper reach over the net.
That is going to be an AEP point. They're going to... Oh, sorry. There is a correction here. That ball goes out. That's weird. The whole Savouge was celebrating and then...
Well, they were going to challenge it anyway, so...
Overruled by the first referee.
Good serve.
Casanya going to De La Noche. Push coming from Calado. Lorenzo sets up De La Noche. The block coming from Ramirez. Casanya going up to Shnaki. That hit goes out. It's going to be a block out.
Yeah, it's a good set. They need to get Jared Shnaki involved really in today's, at least here in the third set. Maybe I think he just had 1 point in set number 2. Good pass.
Calado with that finish. You can't allow Savouge to receive. They're still number 2 in most of the skill racks.
Yeah, the body shot there. EJ Casanya.
Tied at 2. It doesn't cross for Jills.
Well, if you're the CABSTARS, you know, again, another slow start for Savouge. We saw that at the start of set number 1. So here, you want to take advantage. You know, rack up a string of points here.
Oh, here's a Savouge point. Courtesy of Louis Ramirez.
That's a mental lapse on the side of the CABSTARS, letting that go. It was a slow reception.
Look at that. It happens to the best of us. That serve goes out though. It's going to be a point for CABSTARS.
Boy, Mark Calado has been playing well for Savouge, except for his serves. A couple of errors in that department.
Something has to give. Pump set. Miscue. Caritativo gives a chance ball. Casanya going for that drop.
Oh, we know he has that in his arsenal, not just Imperial.
He has that on his arsenal, but you know who's more aggressive with attacking? Based on what I've been seeing. A guy named Vincent Imperial.
Yeah, I think it's 1-all.
Yeah. Let's see. Serve goes out. Ramirez will now serve for the yellow shirts.
Well, that's not a way to take advantage if you give back a service error.
Solid serve from Ramirez. Casanya will set this up to Shnaki. Picked up there by Dionis. Imperial going to Caritativo with much of an angle. Just wow. Whoop. That's popped up by Bugawan. Set up going to Calado. Oh, coverage not home for Savouge.
You know, although Savouge did not get that point, you gotta admire and appreciate what Caritativo did. That was on its way beyond the antenna. But good net defense, Malayba.
Set up going to JP Bugawan.
Well, finally a solid hit. Not too much of that today yet for JP Bugawan.
Okay, on points as setters, Casanya with 3-1 attack, 1 block, 1 ace. Imperial with 2-1 attack, 1 block. Maintain natin yung ace ni Vince, but in excellent sets, they're almost tied 11-10. As we look at that Waza hit that doesn't come through, courtesy of Bugawan. Bugawan now marches to the service line, 8 points in this, rather Torres. Bugawan now serves.
Oh.
Shnaki off the hands of Calado.
Well, that ball hit the blocker's hand.
1 point game.
Well, you know, if we base it on the first set, the CABSTARS will be more successful if they keep this close, right?
Yep. They can't allow Savouge to make a run. Calado going off the block, tied at 7. Imperial continues to serve. There's a pretty solid front line for Coach Sidney. Casanya going to that running attack by Lord Isabal that is going to sail out. And that will take us to our first technical timeout of the third set.
You're still watching the 2026 Spikers Surf Open Conference. I spoke to J-Rock de la Noche of the Aep Cabstars. I asked him, when was his high-stakes, high-pressure game? The last one of his? He said that it was last year in November during the Invitational Conference. Also battling for that top 2 position. This was versus Signal. Unfortunately, they lost to 4 sets. And he didn't play as much. He was not part of the first 6. So personally, for J-Rock, he looks to avenge himself. Sees this opportunity to make a bigger impact given that he has a bigger role now. His time to shine, his words, and this is his way to lead his team through his energy and his aggressiveness. Back to you, Sinjin and Noreen.
We are looking for more of that energy and aggressiveness from J.F. de la Noche. Thank you so much, babies. A block touch challenge called here by Aep.
Well, Savouge has actually been egging the CABSTARS to challenge.
Let's see if they've successfully rage baited the CABSTARS for a challenge, or they were just gaslighting themselves. Block touch is the challenge. We'll wait for the result of this. I think we're gonna get it now. Was there a block touch? Wala. Mukhang wala.
That's why, you know, Savouge has been saying earlier it was caritativo. Now it was Calado saying challenge. We didn't touch it.
They don't lie.
They don't lie.
Yeah, they just rage bait you. Are you familiar with this new term? Rage baiting. Yung inaasar ka pa.
No, I get it. I get what it means, but
it's the new gaslight.
okay, got it. On that block, they have rage baited CABSTARS.
As we bring on vocabulary lesson, it seems like the CABSTARS are not rage baited. But it seems like this triggered a challenge for ball in, ball out for Coach Sidney. Sabi niya, siguradong in yun. Solid blocker si Mark Calado.
It's his day today in all aspects of his game.
Coach Sidney looks very happy on the sidelines. Well, you come off of close.
It's not.
That's not. Coach Sidney naman masyado na excited.
It's his day still, Mark Calado,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, Schnacky wants to prove a point.
Na-rage bait niya yung...
Rage bait.
Torres denied by that one-to-one block over Dog. Casanya will go up to De La Noche on the other side. Marmeto set up to Caritativo.
Oh, good dig.
Lorenzo to Schnacky. That push is denied. Coverage by Schnacky. They go to the right pin, but a solid block by Torres.
Well, Savouge has been using their net defense really today. All sets, 5 in set 1, 8 in set 2, and counting at set 3.
13 na. Baka best blocking team na sila after nito.
Oh, wouldn't be surprised.
Caritativo Wood at serve. Picked up there by Malaiba. The triple block sails out. Schnacky still finding a way amidst being the mark man of Savouge.
Well, it's a better set for Schnacky here. We did ask that of him because it can't be just J-Rock de la Noche.
Baka diesel lang si Jared. Ako, mahal pa naman yun. Torres with that push.
Little errors here and there. That connection with the middles.
Now a one-point game. Savouge needs this next point because momentum is starting to swing in favor of the CABSTARS. Spin Masters, the Spin Doctors go to Ramirez, but that is also out. Too much spin. Tied at 11. What a very interesting scoreboard.
Yeah.
One set apiece, 11 all.
Make a wish.
Make a wish. One-handed set to Calado. Popped up there by Casanya. On the other side, they go De La Noche. Kept alive there by Savouge. Calado is denied. Popped up there by Imperial, who finishes off none other than Mark Calado.
Boy, his court sense, it's really so impressive. Any set, out of system, bump set, you know, he just gives 100% effort.
Serve coming from Jills. Casania will set this up to De La Noche. The block checks in.
Well, they're adding to their tally. Savouge is just really denying the attackers of the CABSTARS, which, you know, we need to see lower and faster sets. You shouldn't allow Savouge to establish their blocks.
That hit coming from De La Noche. Ramirez with an answer. No check there. Is there a check? They're looking for a check. Coach Sydney going for a big square rectangular sign. Larger than ever. It happened in front of her. They're asking for a block touch.
50 inches.
Oh, the largest request for a bill in a restaurant. This is a big challenge. Sabi ni Coach Sydney, nakita niyo? Sumabit sa kamay. As we await for the resolution of this challenge, here is the answer. Meron nga block touch. Meron ba? Yes, meron nga.
Point goes to Coach Sydney because Louis Ramirez didn't even say challenge it. He wasn't sure. But the CABSTARS will call timeout here.
Let's listen in.
Hindi ma-activate yung middle natin. Okay lang, sige lang. Habulin lang ulit natin. Habulin lang natin kanina eh. Tapos, propose ulit. Atakin ninyo. Tapos coverage ulit tayo. Ha? Kumpiyansa lang.
Oh, go! Tatlo lang yan! Tatlo lang!
Go!
Go!
Jacob!
Start!
They need to ice things out because it's already a 3-point lead in favor of Savouge after diminishing that at 11-11. Savouge made a run here at 14-11.
And a strong front row here for Savouge. They want to pull away.
Casania will set this up. That works for Malaiba. He's been silent here in the last few sequences.
That's a better set there from Casania. One-on-one opportunity.
Two-point game. Dave Lardizabal to serve. Pick up there by Shawi. They go up to Mark. Mark gets it to the blockers. Popped up there by De La Noche. Chance ball coming from AEP. Let's see what Imperial will do. They go to Mark Calado.
Well, these setters are pretty much evenly matched, and another good set aside from Imperial. Look at that, just one blocker. Excellent set there.
That serve coming from Calado. Oh, J-Rock recognizing no one's behind the blockers.
And he gives a smile looking at JP Bugawan. Well, J-Rock has been really reading the defense. That was a smart tip.
De La Noche with that serve. Back quick to Bugawan. And that gives a 3-point lead to Savouge as we enter the second technical timeout. But before that, let's look at that again. Let's give it one last look, because that is done with ease. More Spikers with action when we return. Wow, wow, wow. Welcome back here at the venue in San Juan, wherein we head on over to the future, May 1, where the Volleyball All-Star Showcase will happen in Canton City. Starters will be revealed on April 13 because voting will end on April 11, 11:59 p.m. So vote now. Noreen has casted her vote, I know. I have casted my vote, but I think we will still have to vote for the reserves. Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's going to be Team Power versus Team Passion. 7 starters will be voted by you guys. 7 will be voted by the various stakeholders of Spikers Turf. For more information and to do your ballot voting, go to pvl.ph/allstar. It is a shared ballot between Spikers Turf and PVL, so you can vote a total of 28 players, 14 players from the PVL, 14 players from Spikers Turf.
Well, as you were saying that, Bugawan with another stop versus Guaza.
That's why if you want to see more of JP Bugawan, just vote for him.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? What I saw online? May vote buying pa. But it's only voting, guys. You can vote. I don't know how true, but you can vote now and go lang, vote lang ng vote. Refresh lang ng refresh as Mark Calado looks very refreshed, bringing his squad a gargantuous 6-point lead.
Yeah. You can see the intensity and the energy of Savouge at a different level here towards going to the 20 of set number 3.
Beers was doing that serve. He has 9 points already. But Guaza has been perfectly doing everything for AEP, contributing in all skill categories.
And a bit of words there between Guaza, Calado, and Bugawan. Again, former teammates.
Yeah. That goes through for Shawi. That push coming from Guaza. Guaza gets that point.
Yeah, that's staying with the ball.
With a triple block. Lupos lang yung pad ni Shawi. But Guaza was just very attentive. I mean, tulak na to.
Yeah. Nobody home.
4-point game. Imperial going for the back set to Bugawan.
Bugawan is just so athletic, so light. You know, the vertical leaps are easy for JD Bugawan.
He's starting to go for these differential hits now. It's not that zero tempo that he was doing against Chris Cross.
Yeah.
It's a bit different. Schnacky though, with full extension.
Yeah, needed. Much needed there for the CABSTARS.
Look at that again. Hitting the outer arm of Imperial. As we see Miss Fifi Sharma. #1 Spikers Turf fangirl of this conference. That doesn't cross. It's going to be a point for Savouge. They lead by 5 again.
If you're Savouge, you want to step on the gas here. You want to end it quick. You also want to avoid some, injuries.
Like that. Buti na lang, hindi. But you like those buwis-buhay moments. Back to a 4-point game. AB trying to catch up here. As you look at that again. The shaft pass. Sinubukan.
Yeah.
But hindi kinaya. Timeout by Savouge.
Louis, steady lang.
Hindi, si Xiaomi mo.
Ikaw 5 dito. Sa likod Sa kanya yun Dito ka na parang dito. Dito na target, Louis Dito target. Mark, single to. Dito ko pa dadali ng dalawa. Dalawa kayo dito.
Nag-gets yun.
Sa dito, 4 ulo. Louis, 4 ulo.
Specific play by Coach Maki was given. Coach Maki Carino, of course. He's been a perennial name in men's volleyball as a coach as well.
Yeah.
They go up to Calado rather.
Oh, what a set by Imperial. That was far. But he followed the game plan.
Sabi nga ni Neil, minsan request yan ng mga setters because that gives them an opportunity to do that long back set. Because obviously, if you're the opponent, the higher chances is for them to go to the left pin.
Yeah.
But mukha naman dun, ad-lib talaga yung Imperial. That goes out, going to be a point version. That goes in favor of AEP. Schnacky will now serve.
Well, just a 4-point lead.
They go up to Torres with a push. Torres with his own coverage. Calado, that doesn't go through. That's going to be a point for the CABSTARS.
Yeah, we saw the approach of Calado. He already was a step early, so yeah, hits that into the net, lead down to 3.
3-point game. 3 points to tie, 3 points to close it out. Calado down the line.
How quickly he has made up for that previous hitting error.
Timeout will be called by AEP because Mark Calado is starting to get fired up and is going through their blocks.
Tugayin muna natin yung itsura natin sa loob ng court kasi lahat nakasimango. So mabigat. Tapos pag napuntos tayo, celebrate. Yeah. Diba? Naglalaro na tayo eh. Ha? Tapos, pasuli!
Coach Christian looking for a different vibe inside the court. It's starting to look slow, starting to look dull, starting to look down.
Well, but it is still possible.
They did it in the first set.
They did that, yeah.
And they were behind in the first set. But Savouge is a very different Savouge now. Serve coming from Jills. EJ going up to JF. JF is denied by Louis.
Again, the blocking of Savouge. Need we say more?
7 points. Savouge with that serve. Kasanya going up to Malaiba. They choose Ramirez. He's denied. Caritativo is there. And Louis will try this time and close set number 3 in favor of Savouge.
Well, they were challenged by the CABSTARS, but when it mattered, they knew exactly what to do. Savouge ending it.
We're back here inside the Philippine Center in San Juan, and Savouge secured that set number 3 easily because what they just did is they established a gap, maintained that gap till the end. AEP looked quite slow in that previous set.
Yeah, so Savouge actually went back to their strength, which is blocking. They're showing us they're indeed one of the top blockers of the league. In set number 1, they had 5 blocks. Set number 2, they had 8 blocks, and they still continued in set number 3 with 6 blocks. So, you know, they're using their defense to their advantage, and they even actually improved on their passing. In the first set, they gave up 3 aces. Second and third, 0 aces, so they adjusted their passing. So, you know, they were challenged. It was a bit close towards the middle part, and then Savouge just really obviously wanted to end it.
19 block points already for Savouge in total as we look at our standings. It is the reason why this is very crucial. Savouge winning this in 4 will put them at number 1 and give them 5 points, which already gives them an advantage.
But if you look at the number of CABSTARS, 1 and 0 with 3 points, they have a strong chance in case there's any tie. Well, Mark Calado hitting at 53% in today's game and leading all scorers with 20 points.
Lardy Zabal, who has been pivotal in their last match, has been quite silent here. That third set has been, I would say, a schnacky game for CABSTARS.
Yeah, better set for Shnaki with a total of 10 points, but it has been Calado for Savouge.
Check that again. Calado just plays much on it, targeting the outer hand of the blockers. Casanya will set this up. Going up to De La Noche. De La Noche finds the line. Hoping this changes the pace of the game. Kasi pag mag 5 sets to, that's just another day for Narito.
And you. So De La Noche again, he has been the focal point in terms of offense for the CABSTARS. That was his 14th point.
Let's go up to Mark Calado. Oh, point number 22?
Yeah. And what do you like if you're a Mark Calado fan? You saw him struggles in the first round, but not here in the semifinals.
Looks like vintage Mark Calado, or the resurgence of Mark Calado. 2 times was the block of Bugawan and Ramirez. Very effective on the other side. They go up to Malaiba, but a solid block against that Savouge wall.
Blocks and counting really for Savouge.
Now this is the strongest front line of Savouge actually in blocking. This is very deadly of Ramirez, Bugawan, and then Calado. If not the height, the vertical of these three
Agree.
is just enough.
Whoa!
Yun lang, napisan.
Great adjustment there by De La Noche. He really found that angle, that acute angle.
That's very sharp, huh? That. First by him.
Oh.
Sigurado. Sure na sure. 1 point game for Savouge. Aep still playing catch up. They're down by 1 set as well. Imperial going up to Calado with a push.
Good save.
Imperial going to Bugawan with a muscle on it.
Too many options. You did mention the strong front line of Savouge. Just too many options for Imperial.
Definitely. Kaya magawa block lang. Because imagine who's the front, Ramirez and then Calado on the right. Pagod mag-isip at mag-overthink yung middle blocker. They put this up for Shnaki. Shnaki out of position. Diones will play center to Imperial. This is what I was telling you. That push coming from De La Noche. Overset for Guaza. Imperial making it look like it's a slight attack for him.
And he's just enjoying himself, you know, his teammates supporting
his fantasy to become a spiker
exactly.
again. But you know, we saw a lot of that in the previous match against Chris Cross. It's very effective.
Yeah.
You know what they also love doing that I haven't seen recently? The setter going to pretend that he's going for a hit, but then he's going to switch up to a set. That one's through the block.
They're getting creative, huh?
Yeah. May medyo relaxing.
Yeah, but again, Bugawan got a hand with that.
That serve coming from Aep, and he's active today.
He's not done yet.
Sabi niya, magsascore muna ako. Wait lang. Look at that. Oh, that's what I was telling you. They would, usually it's like that. But imagine the reverse. It looked like he was gonna go for a dump, but then he's gonna set it suddenly. Yun yung uso last game.
Yeah. Yung uso eh.
Uso. Yeah. Casanya going up to Malaiba. Imperial is on a roll!
Scoring what, the last 3 points for Savouge?
4 points is the lead of Savouge, and 3 of that courtesy of Vincent Imperial. Timeout, Coach Christian.
mga atake natin. Diba? Gusto lang uli. Tapos coverage lang. Pagtulong-tulungan natin to.
Go! Say, CABSTARS! Go!
Tsagain lang. Isa-isa lang. Sabi ni Coach Christian.
But they need a stop here. We saw in the second to the third set, if Savouge goes on a tear, good response, much needed point from Malaiba.
Look at that. Malaiba starting to spark. Four-point lead. Timeout. Technical timeout for Savouge. We'll be back.
You're still watching the 2026 Spikers Turf Open Conference. The Spin Doctors coming into this fourth set, oozing with confidence compared to that first set. Their body language, much less tension, much more relaxed. The team's environment, their morale is at a high. The coaching staff still reminding them, though, not to be contented. They are looking for firepower, but with composure. They still need to stay aware of AAP's schemes. They are trying them, challenging them one by one, and the team should still be creative in their variations on offense. Coach Sidney Calderon constantly telling them to enjoy the competition. They play much, much better when they're having fun. Sinjin in the ring?
They do. They really do. This is a happy team. Talking about the Savouge aesthetic Spin Doctors, they really need to be smiley and happy for their system to work like that. That's why you need Shawi Karitativo inside. I'm not saying Jester to Shawi.
Yeah. Or Hero Austria.
Hero Austria. Very, very happy team.
Oh.
That hit.
J-Rack de la Noche from the back.
De la Noche finding on the corner as action continues. Ramirez going to hit that line.
Boy, Imperial, what a great set. No blockers in sight.
Oh, that's too low for Shawi.
Well, the CABSTARS, you want to win set number 4 to force a 5th set. Gotta start somewhere.
Calado! Easy on the money. Oh, there's going to be a challenge here. The challenge is for reaching beyond the net. Again, the challenge is reaching beyond. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's the set of Imperial.
Let's see.
Yeah.
That could be tricky. It happens. You know, setters, mayroon nang sumkit yun. Past life kasi ng mga setters, nagsusukit sila ng puto sa puto. Let's see if this will be, or how will this challenge be judged? That is a yes. By 2 fingers.
Okay.
Debatable for you? Judgment call.
Judgment call.
Well, that that call is actually a judgment call in the first place. So it's very subjective. That also depends where your camera is angled. It favors one side because you can't be in the middle. The antenna will block the whole view. De La Noche would hit that one through.
Oh, good save.
Malaiba with that adjustment. Calado. Now he makes sure it gets in. Back to a 3-point game. Let's look at that.
Yeah, they've been going to Calado, and why not? He has been delivering.
Oh, more than 20 points here.
I think he's aiming for 30.
Why not? But unsurprising. Jills with that serve. Malaiba through the blockers, popped up by Jills. Ramirez will try off the block. That push coming from Bugawan. Hi. Sa ilang taong kinover na natin si JP Bugawan, the athleticism, it never fades. Anong strength and conditioning itong bata?
And then he had the presence of mind to look at the net, make sure he doesn't touch the net.
Very alert. Jills with that serve. I sounded old at that state that I realized. That's going to be a successful hit for Schnacky. Let's get that again.
Great set to the pipe. No blockers there.
Good serve. Coming from Lardizabal. On the other side, they go to Mark Calado. He's on fire.
Yeah, Imperial knows that, so he has been milking Mark Calado.
Calado continues to serve, or starts to serve rather. Casania will go to De La Noche. It's been quite silent. Ramirez will try. Triple block is denied. Caritativo going up to the US minted spiker of the Spin Doctors, none other than Vincent Imperial. Let's look at that again.
He probably told Louis Ramirez, this is how you do.
Calado with his serve. Popped up by Schnacky. Casania setting this one up to De La Noche. Over the blockers and out.
Yeah. Was too high for J-Rack De La Noche. Well, they're gonna talk it over.
But guys, ang problema dito, yung sarili na natin. Yun yung ilalaro natin. Masyado tayo maraming error. Baguhin muna natin na naramdaman natin kasi naglalaro na tayo. Sa ating may problema eh. So nako-compromise yung mukha natin. Lahat sa kasimangot tayo eh. Pati yung skills, character, nawawala na tayo. Diba, i-enjoy na lang natin. Ipapanuhin na lang natin mga magkakamali natin eh. Hindi balikan lang natin kung yung tama. Go!
My name, say, CABSTARS!
Icing things out there was Coach Christian. He didn't wait for the technical timeout because waiting for the technical timeout will give a 7-point lead. 6 is still quite reachable. Calado with the serve. Picked up there by Lorenzo Casania. One-handed sets to the quick. That is going to work for the CABSTARS thanks to Michael Doria.
Yeah, coming off the bench and he gets a chance to score. But I like the huddle there. Coach Antiporto is really saying that mukha natin eh. We have to, you know, change it. We have to be fighting.
Whoa! Front line yarn.
Oh.
It looked like it came from the front line.
Mark Calado just having a ball.
Bro, did you see where he landed? It's right in front of the... Thank God. These FE boys and their athleticism will bring us to the technical timeout. 6-point lead for Savouge. We're back here inside the Phil Oil Center in San Juan. Let's look back at the first round meeting. 3 sets for Savouge. Block points, still very obvious. 10 more over AEP. in attack, so really just lording it over.
Yeah, just playing to their strength.
Second round meeting. Let's look at that. Still the same. CABSTARS though played closer with blocks.
Well, you see the errors though of Savouge, 33.
That's the challenge now to they have to force Savouge to commit errors, extend their rallies, challenge them in different ways.
Yeah. Well, here Austria, another happy camper.
Yeah. The jolly crew of Savouge. This was the 6 in that match against Crisscross. However, that serve goes out. It's a 5-point game.
But you know, I remember from conferences ago, Hero Austria's jump serve was one of the most consistent. I'm surprised he's opting to do the floater.
In their last match against Savouge, he had that streak of services. It wasn't aces all the time, but you know, it really like carried on.
Yeah.
No mistakes. Caritativo.
Speaking of no mistakes, Caritativo.
Ganun pag player of the game ka last time. 6-point lead for Savouge. Shnaki popped up by Bugawan. Oh,
What was that?
Playful Savouge bunch. Shnaki this time popped up by Hero. They go up to Calado. Casanya going to choose De La Noche this time. There's a wide space just right in between Hero and Calado.
Yeah, but great defense being displayed by both these teams. Hero Austria with a great dig.
The difference maker, there's a 5-point lead that, or deficit, that Aep has to climb. Serve right there. They go to that quick to Jills, and that works.
I think that was what you were pertaining to. Imperial showing that he's going to dump it,
yeah.
and then setting it.
Ayan na. Calado. My God.
He's doing it all for Savouge.
Grabe. Calado is at 26 markers. Just wow. Blocked by Giles at Calado. Off the block was a Shnaki. Hero from the pipe. On the other side, Casanya going to Shnaki on the third try. Right behind the blockers is Jared.
Well, that's what you want to see, you know. You may be down, but you're still fighting. If you're the CABSTARS, you gotta make some Savouge earn their points.
I hear
Oh.
Jared on your screens. Savouge going up to Caritativo. There's an infraction. It's going to be in favor of Savouge. Calado, 26 points, 4 on blocks. On attacks, 22 out of 41. That is a 54% efficiency. So 1 and 1/10.
1 and 1/10. All right, they're challenging that, but we did see it already in the slow-mo.
That's almost a 50%. That's more than 50% chance. 1 out of 2 attempts. Let's see. Was that net fault? This is a challenge coming from the CABSTARS. This is a very different CABSTARS also that we're seeing right now. They're a bit slower than how they were last game. Last game, they were a bit more energized.
Monitor, so wala mapapakitang video. Remain yung tawag ng referee.
Okay.
Number 2 yung nag-net. Okay, makasabi mo kay coach.
Okay, it's going to be inconclusive, in other words, hence the call will stay.
No, I thought I heard that they just can't show the video,
Because
but they pointed to
okay.
number 2 as the one who went into the net.
So it's a technical difficulty.
Yeah.
I understood it differently. It's okay. The point is, the call remains.
Yeah, the call remains. We did actually see it, right?
Yeah.
In the slow-mo prior to the challenge. So, yeah.
Casania will set this up to Shnaki. Oh, solid block. Ang hirap. Block party.
Block party. We mentioned that at the top of the coverage. It is going to be a block party, and Calado is a celebrant.
Yeah.
He's
Block.
a celebrant.
Block to block to block to block. Casania will set this up to De La Noche. Popped up there by Caritativo. Ball is still alive thanks to Dionis. Chance ball for AEP. Casania going for a back quick. He's denied. There's going to be an infraction. Giles countering this. Wala daw siyang net fault. Wala na silang challenge. Walang challenge.
Wala ng challenge or...
Okay.
Yeah.
Clarified. There is a technical difficulty. The challenge has to reset in the middle of the game.
Oh.
So, walang challenge that can be done during this time.
Okay.
Okay. 7-point lead. Torres through the blockers. Casania. That push coming from Lardizabal on the other side. Calado!
Casado, Calado.
Yeah. Sigurado.
Sigurado.
Lista mo na. Look at that. Mark Calado is getting that off the blockers.
I wonder if he's actually going to reach 30 points.
I think he is 4 points shy earlier. 28, so I am over him 28, so 2 points shy na lang. Ramirez off the hands of AEP. That's a cross-court kill. If the next 2 points becomes Mark Calado points, 30 points. Sige.
But look at this front row, your favorite.
Yeah, very strong front row. Oh. Imperial with that serve.
Oh!
Jills with that serve. However, sorry, 28 pa din siya at the
Yeah.
moment, Noreen, and we are at a match point. There are 10 match points that has to be saved here by the Aep Cabstars. Let's look at that again. Floater. Jills to serve again. Will Mark Calado reach 29? De La Noche getting that through the block. Coach will call timeout.
Okay, coach. Louis, steady lang. Mark, padudulo na kita. Subukan natin kay Shawi, ha? Dito, Shaw. Dito, ulo lang, ha?
Shawi.
Ulo lang, Shaw. Let's go lang.
Ito na ba yun?
Paano yan? Hindi siya abot 30. Yung play pa kay
Wala
Shawi. Wala na.
Wala na.
But there's a specific play drawn out there by Coach Maki Carino. So let's see if, you know, the challenge there is execution. Kung hindi maganda yung pasa, paano bibigay kay Shawi? Well, pwede naman wing spiker with Shawi.
But if you look at the Savouge lineup, anyone, you can set it to anyone and just shout to whom it may concern.
Try kaya ni Imperial yun. Set lang
Ay,
niya.
nako.
Ay, yun lang. Pumasok. Pwede pa. Pwede pa. One more time.
It looked like it was going out and then it dropped at the last second.
This is a good sign for CABSTARS. They're slowly but surely doing it. There's a ball with a serve. Picked up by Shawi. JP Bugawan gives Savouge their second win and gives them an advantage. They are already holding in the doorknob of the finals. And they just need one more win to secure that. But they are really just one step in, 1 foot in that door already.
Well, they are undefeated here in the semifinals. It seems like they may have punched their ticket, you know. But yeah, we'll see what happens the rest of the matches.
It depends, but they technically do. They already have an advantage over AEP and Crisscross. So there's a lot of quotient that will play in. There's a triple tie. I think there's going to be a playoff.
Yeah. In the event.
We'll close things out and we'll find out who our player of the game is when we return here at the Spikers turf.
You're still watching the 2026 Spikers Surf Open Conference, and beside me is Savouge Spin Doctor Mark Calado, our player of the game. 28 points, 23 attacks, and 5 blocks. And with this win, ito yung first ever finals appearance ng Savouge Aesthetics. Congratulations, Mark.
Thank you po.
Ikaw yung isa sa mga nag-lead ng team na to. Anong pakiramdam?
Sobrang saya kasi ang tagal naming nandito ang tagal kong pumasok sa Savouge, and talagang first time ko ulit na makapasok ng finals. As in, kasi nung last ko na naranasan yung finals is sa Signal pa talaga.
Signal, of course, you have your championship experience with Signal. What is it that you're going to bring to the table coming into the finals?
Siyempre, talaga, yung championship mentality, dapat yun talaga yung papairali namin. Especially, siyempre, may kasama din naman kaming mga champion team. Sila Kuya JP Bugawan, sila Louie, yung mga galing ng Signal. So, malaking bagay yun para sa amin at may tutulong namin dun sa team namin.
Mark, one last question. What is it that you love about this Savouge Aesthetics team?
Pinaka gusto ko talaga sa team na to is yung pagtutulungan namin and yung happy lang talaga, good vibes. Kasi kahit yung nakasimangot ka na sa loob ng court, nandyan yung mga teammate mo para i-cheer up ka. And sabi nga ni Madam, always focus lang and mag-enjoy kayo lagi. Ayun po.
Thank you so much, Mark. Baka may gusto kang batiin?
First of all po, binabati ko yung parents ko sa Pangasinan. Thank you sa pag-support. Mama ko, papa ko, yung lola ko, lolo ko. Si Ian, ayan. And yung family ng mga teammates ko, family ni Madam. Sa lahat po ng mga sumusuporta sa Savouge Spin Doctors, maraming salamat po. And pati yung girlfriend ko, binabati ko, tsaka yung family.
Maraming salamat, Mark Calado. Congratulations to you and the team. Good luck. Back to you, Sinjin and Noreen.
Thank you so much, Bailey. Sana naman nagbabanggit ng names. Hulaan na kung sino ang mga families ni Madam ng kanyang girlfriend. But great performance, explosive performance for Mark Calado and the rest of the Spin Doctors. Congratulations. They have somewhat secured their way, cemented their way into the finals. They just need to really perform well in the next game.
Yeah, one thing they can learn from this match is they need to work for it. You know,
Yep.
They did beat Chris Cross in that previous match, but if they lost the first set, every team you need to work hard for that victory. And if you look at the numbers again, Spin Doctors using their strength, their blocking was really flawless today. They really use that to stop any momentum that the CABSTARS could have. But CABSTARS, you are at 1-1.
Yeah,
You still have a chance.
They still have a great fighting chance. I mean, compared to Alpha and to Chris Cross, who are right now still at 0-1, they have an advantage already. Now, whoever wins the next match, that is going to be pivotal to the excitement of the conference. Now, Savouge, one-way ticket into the finals. Nothing can go wrong, but meanwhile, for Aep, they still have a chance. They still have a big fighting chance against whoever wins this match against the Alpha Insurance Protectors. On behalf of my partner, Noreen Go, our courtside reporter, Bailey Akot, our director, Derek Jules Mello, and our game producer, Nick Earnshaw, this has been Sinjin Reyes thanking you for joining us here at the Spikers Turf. This is where power meets passion.